Okay, in our first video on law of sines, we talked about how it's derived. We also found a new formula for an area of a triangle. Today, here are our learning targets. And here was the formula for area of a triangle that we derived. And in order to use this, you want to have two sides and an included angle, meaning the angle is between the two sides. So if we look at this triangle right here, let's say I know actually all three sides. Let's say this is 45, this is 42, and this is 20. Now, when you use this, you want to use two sides and the included angle. So let's say I'm given that this right here is 32 degrees. Okay, so then I have to figure out which sides I'm going to use. Now, I want to use two sides and the included angle. So that means then that I really am going to be looking at, I have only one angle here. So I want the two sides that are around that angle. So that would be these two sides that I'm going to use. That means I'm not going to use this 20 here at all. And then I would just set it up and use my formula here. It says the area is equal to 1/2 times one of your sides. So let's say times 42 times 45. I'm going to move this over a little bit. And then times the sine of 32 degrees. Now, once again, you want to make sure when you type this into your calculator that you have it in degrees, right? So here we go. Let's type it in. I'm going to write it down here so I don't forget. Okay. So let's see. I'm just going to type everything in parentheses. Before I do that, I'm going to do mode, and then go down to degree, press enter. Okay, and then I'll quit out of there. All right, so 1/2 times 42 times 45, and then times sine of 32 degrees. It's 500.8, rounded to the nearest tenth. So this would be 500.8. Now we don't have units here. If we did, we would put that on there. So we're just going to write units. These are square units, so our abbreviation would be units with a little squared symbol on there. Okay, so 500.8 square units, and that's how you use your area of a triangle, your new one, if you have two sides and an angle. Make sure you use the correct two sides when you're doing that. Okay, law of sines, we derived this last time. And the nice thing is, law of sines can be used to find angles or sides. And it's useful because it doesn't have to be a right triangle anymore. So that's really important. If we don't have a right triangle, we can't use our trig function. So now that this is not a right triangle, we have some other methods. Law of sines is one of them. Okay, so how do we apply this? So here, notice there's no label. Our law of sines says, it's sine of angle A over its corresponding side A, and sine of angle B over its side B, etc. And so those have to correspond. So when we look at this here, I am trying to find the missing measure x, okay? So I know I have I can do sine of 34. When you do this, you're going to just do 2 at a time. So sine of 34, its corresponding side is across from it. So this would be over 10. In order to use the law of sines and have it be effective, you need one of these to be completely filled out. Right, so I've got the side, the angle, and its side. And then now it's going to be sine of 52 degrees over its corresponding side, which would be x. Now we talked about in our first video, how do we solve proportions? Remember, we cross multiply. So you're going to go this times this So this would be x times sine of 34 degrees is equal to, and then this times this goes over here. So 10 times sine of 52 degrees. Now, in order for your answer to be the most accurate, you don't want to type any of this stuff in here. You want to solve it for x and type it all at the end. So in order to get x by itself, now what I need to do is I need to divide by sine of 34 degrees on both sides. So I'm going to write that. Okay, these would cancel, and then I'm going to type this in all at once. So this is 10 times sine of 52 degrees over sine of 34 degrees. Okay, now I'm going to type that all in together into my calculator all at once. This is important. This will make your answer more accurate. Okay, so we're going to do 10 times sine of 52 degrees. Now you want to hit enter here, so make sure you do that. Hit enter. Now just hit the divided by right here, so that'll take your answer right there, divided by sine of 34, and then press enter again. Okay, and so just leave those answers. Don't do any rounding at 7.88. Don't round that. Leave the whole answer in there. So I get 14 point, I would round this to 14.1. Okay, so the side that I'm missing has a length of 14.1 units, and that's using the law of sines. And so now I would not have been able to find that using any of our regular trig functions, because this is not a right triangle, so that wouldn't have worked. So that's how we use the law of sines. Okay, now some other things that might come up when you're doing this is, remember, you always need a corresponding angle and side. So let's see here. I'm going to switch colors. So I have 64 and its corresponding side, so I can use that. I could go sine of 64 degrees over 32 is equal to, now I have 45, but its corresponding side would be right here. That doesn't help me. I need this angle in order to get this side. Now I don't have it, but I can find it, right? This we know that triangles, all their angles add up to 180, so I'm just going to go 64 plus 45 and take that away from 180. So you can use your calculator if you want. 64 plus 45 gives me 109. So then you just say, right, 180 minus 109. You could do that in your head too, and you get 71. So that means now I know that this angle here is 71, so I have to find that first. And now I can say, all right, I know that angle, I can find the other side. So I'm going to say sine of 71 degrees over x. And now we just solve the same way, right? Cross multiply. So this would be this times this. This is going to give me x times sine of, oops, sine of 64 degrees is equal to 32 times sine of 71. Okay, now I'm going to solve for x, so that means divide by sine of 64 on both sides. Oops. Okay, these will cancel, and then I'm going to type this into my calculator. So I'm going to do 32 times sine of 71, hit enter, leave that answer in there, divide by sine of 64. Okay. And here we go. Okay, so I have 32 times sine of 71. Make sure you press enter here. Leave that whole answer in there. Just press divided by. And then sine of 34. Okay. And then press enter. And now we have our answer. It's 54.1 rounded to the nearest tenth. So we're going to put that down. So this missing side would be 54.1 units long. And that's how we use and apply the law of sines. All right, so you can write this into your planner once you have done it and turned it in. You can check it off in your planner. Good luck.